Hi everyone, welcome to your Module 4 assignment. This assignment you are still using your STEM-related issue and also your inquiry-based question from Module 3, so from the last assignment, and you're going to be reviewing the sources that you had chosen prior. This sometimes is where students start to think, oh, my sources might not be as good as I thought they were. So if you need to change them, just let me know. Typically that's not a big issue, but just let me know so that way I'm aware that you've changed them. So what you are going to do is for, 3 to 5 sources, you're going to answer the following questions. So you're going to explain the results and kind of like the major findings of the study. So it's like a summation, right? Then you're going to explain how biases and assumptions could have impacted scientific thinking in your sources. It's not to say that they did, it's just how could it have happened? And then you're looking at the research strategies that were used. So what were the methods that scientists used to collect and analyze data? So that could be things like, did they do a model, like a computer simulation? Did they directly go out and do an experiment and collect, like data from like a water source, or did they make gas measurements? So essentially just looking at, okay, what was done in order to get the data that they got. So you have your template here, your rubric down here. This is kind of like my instructor example of this assignment. So, right, my issue is the harms of fracking. My question from Module 3 was, what is the impact of the number of active fracking wells in a region on the local air quality index? So what I'm going to do is I have, the source that I have that is centered around this. And that source, again, scholarly article. It could be a secondary source like a news article. Whatever you find that you want to use for this project is what you should put here, because you're going to be doing all of your sources. So I didn't do all of them. I just did one to give you an example. But yeah, so you're going to put your citation in here, and then you're going to just real quickly summarize the results and what were the major findings of the study. That's typically going to be in the conclusion part of a journal article. And then the biases and assumptions. So you're going to want to identify like a couple of different biases. So if you go and look at the announcements from earlier, these are all the different kinds of biases that are present. So confirmation bias is one that was talked about in the module itself. There's all kinds of like anchoring bias, authority bias. So if we go and look at the module 4 resources in the guide, this is talking about how data is collected and analyzed. And then this is talking about, sponsorship bias, funding bias, sampling bias. That's usually like a really big one. So confirmation bias and sampling bias are the ones that typically show up in, articles. But your textbook is really good at talking about the different types of sampling biases, and things that you can use from there as well. So I would definitely go into chapter 3. And then after you've talked about the biases and assumptions, you're just going to talk about, what was the research strategy used. So in this particular source that I had, they set up air quality stations. I talked about how far they were set, and then what was done. So you don't need, paragraphs and paragraphs of information, but it needs to be more than like one sentence. Okay. So you definitely want to have, quality information in here, because one sentence is probably not going to cut it. Okay. But again, once you're done with that source, you're just going to rinse and repeat with the next source. And let me know if you are struggling with anything or you have any questions. And like I said, if you have to change your sources, just let me know. It's fine. We can work it out. Okay.